KRYPTON Chronicles. The Superman, Superboy, DC Universe Internet Radio Show.
Good day, and you are listening to Episode 2 of KRYPTON Chronicles. I'm your host, Rennie Cowan.
And Kyle Cowan.
And today we are going to be discussing Man of Steel, which is our round 2 discussion. A lot has happened since episode 1 when we originally discussed Man of Steel. That is, there's more marketing, there's more advertising, a series of books have been released, the kiddie novels, the junior novel. So if you don't like spoilers, I won't be getting that much into the junior novel or the other children novels, which appears to be based on the films. They may not be spoilers themselves, but we will be giving some reference to those. So if you don't want any spoilers of any kind, you might not want to listen to this. But like I said, I don't like to get into spoilers myself. We did dabble into it a little bit just to make sense of some things for this podcast discussion. If not, then we'd be totally in the dark on a lot of stuff. And we know that with the internet, everybody's reading lots of things about it, articles. So some of this that we talk about is already easily accessible out there. Anyway, there won't be too many spoilers. It's totally up to you. But we'd like to welcome you. I know that in our last episode, I said that we would be talking about the first 6 issues of Smallville for season 11, which we did record, but we're switching it around now because the movie is coming out, and pretty shortly here. We got 25 days left until the movie is released. It's going to be released on June 14th. I wanted to get this episode out to everybody because I think it's just the perfect timing for an update on our thoughts on it. So, and it might be interesting if you haven't listened to episode 1 to go back to listen to episode 1, then listen to episode 2 and see how much our thoughts have changed on it, our point of views. I know that Kyle may have a different point of view on the movie now, which is really interesting because if you recall in episode 1, he was not a big fan of Man of Steel at all. Even I had my skepticism. But the movie, to this recording, the movie will be out in 25 days. And there's a lot of websites that are counting it down. I know movies.com is doing a countdown. Superman homepage is doing a countdown. I'm keeping up with the countdowns on KRYPTON Chronicles on Facebook and whatnot. In addition, a lot of marketing has come along, which the movie didn't have before, and that was like the biggest, gripe with most fans is like, where's the marketing on this film? Is there a new Superman movie coming out? So now we have a slew of digital posters being released by Warner Brothers. Walmart has their movie ticket marketing where you can see the film earlier than the release, which me and Kyle have not done because we're not big fans of Walmart, but we'll get into that. A sample of the soundtrack by Hans Zimmer has been put online, like the first 17 minutes, so you can actually listen to it, and we'll be talking about that. And as I mentioned before, some of the junior novels, or one junior novel and some kiddie novels or books have been released with some spoilers in it or some indications of what to expect in the movie. We're going into this podcast without having seen the film. So at this very recording, it's 25 days until the official release of Man of Steel. June 14th, I'm not talking about the pre-showings or if anybody got earlier tickets or whatever, I'm just talking about the original release date. Our opinions are based right now on not having seen the movie. And with that, what are your opinions now on Man of Steel? Have they changed? Are they the same? What are your thoughts on the movie, Kyle?
It hasn't really changed. It looks like it might be okay, I'd say. Maybe a tad better than Superman Returns.
Just a little bit better than Superman Returns?
Yeah.
What do you think is going to be better?
Maybe Henry Cavill. He seems like an okay Superman so far. I mean, really haven't seen him act as Superman. This previews and the marketing, I guess. But
yeah, the trailers have been really short. Most of them have been like 30 seconds or 40 seconds or something like that. So we really haven't seen his acting chops yet. But from what I have seen with him in action, I mean, he looks pretty animated. There's some parts of these trailers I've been watching and he looks like a cartoon almost, I mean, of course it's live action, but today the special effects are so advanced that, I mean, it's really amazing. You can't really tell what's real anymore and what's not. But so far, Henry Cavill is really impressing me. And of course, he doesn't have the curl. That's not a really huge issue, but, for someone like me who's been a Superman fan my whole life, it's just kind of like something you just keep scratching your head on going, it kind of frustrates you. Like, where's the curl, Because big Superman fans are perfectionists. And let's face it, I mean, it bugs It bugs the big Superman fan. I don't think it's going to ruin the movie or anything. It's just, okay, enough with the curl. With that in mind, the soundtrack, a sample of the soundtrack has been put online, the first 17 minutes, around there, by Hans Zimmer. So they did not go with John Williams. He is not doing the soundtrack at all. They're not paying homage to it, like Smallville did. I mean, it's totally different. I actually thought it sounded like Enya or something, it kind of in a meditative state when I was listening to it, and I had to snap out of it, But the soundtrack is going to be released on June 11th. What did you think of the soundtrack, Kyle?
I didn't like it at all. It was very depressing. They could have gone a different direction. I expected something better. It just felt like watching The Dark Knight over again.
Yeah, it kind of had that sad feeling to it, a lot of the music. It wasn't upbeat, and of course I hate, comparing it to John Williams, but I mean, come on, everyone's always going to do that because that's like the example for all superhero films. So, but like the John Williams soundtrack, I mean, it starts out like dun 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 dun. I mean, it's just so witty, and it's just, I mean, you could feel the superhero-ness in the soundtrack itself. It's like dun dun dun. I mean, Superman is a hero. I don't really get this from the soundtrack. I mean, like I said before, I thought I was listening to Enya or something. I'm going, is this Superman, or am I meditating or something? Which I used to do a lot of in the early 90s.
I'm not going to run to the nearest store and buy the soundtrack. I'm not interested in it, so.
So the soundtrack didn't interest you at all? There was nothing that you liked about it at all?
No.
Just a big flop?
Yeah, the samples were just bad enough.
What did you think of the trailer music with the,
It's okay.
Yeah, it just, I don't know. I mean, it just doesn't feel like superhero music to me. I like the fact that it's different. It's not like any other Superman movie. Of course it's not. But it didn't feel like, a superhero soundtrack. It didn't make me feel like a superhero was in the mist. Did you think it was too dark, Kyle?
Yeah, it was depressing, dark, kind of melody, I guess, or mellowed.
Kind of mellow.
Yeah, I was gonna fall asleep. Actually, I don't know. I just wanted to turn it off right away, as soon as possible. I think I listened about 15 minutes, and that was about it. I think that's how long the samples were. I don't know.
It's about 17 minutes, yeah.
Or 17 minutes, so I'm just glad it was over with.
Now, you being a fan of the Christopher Reeve Superman movies, did you see the music as a good tribute to Man of Steel, as a good way to reboot it? Did you think it was?
No, actually not really. I just didn't think much of it. I just thought maybe they just threw it in there because they can come up with something better.
So you don't think the soundtrack was original at all? It was just kind of thrown together?
Yeah, probably like samples of Dark Knight and other movies. That's what I felt like.
So you think the soundtrack felt like The Dark Knight?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, I don't think... I mean, I think they were trying to be spiritual, give it a spiritual feeling. But I don't think the music really hit all the notes that it should have. I mean, granted, they only gave us 17 minutes of it, so this is without have seen the movie, but I just don't feel the hero in the music. The music doesn't make me move with the action, with the character. It makes me think, but I think they missed the mark on the music. And again, I mean, look at what you got to compare it with. You have to compare it with John Williams, and everyone knows that's the best. I mean, what are you going to do? Just rip it off of the Chris Reeve movie and throw it onto the Henry Cavill film?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Well, I mean, no one wants to do that either, so.
Yeah, no one wants to do that anymore. No one wants to just take from that anymore.
But I don't blame them.
Yeah, just put it behind you and
that's
move
what
on.
Superman Returns did with whoever that was last time. They kind of just took some of that and kind of added some new stuff, but it felt like it paid homage to John Williams, though.
Yeah, and that was their intent, just to make it sound like John
Yeah,
Williams.
that was pretty much what it was.
Because earlier you brought up Superman Returns to me, that was the last Superman movie that we saw, and this is going to be a new Superman movie.
Yeah, I guess it's, according to fans, it's already outdated. 2006. That was quick.
Yeah, and I find it interesting that people are already saying, like some of the messages that we've gotten on YouTube, I mean, people are saying that Superman Returns is already outdated.
That's fine. Then that must mean I'm pretty old and everybody was in diapers when they saw that movie, so that's my own opinion for that. That was quick. I think it takes a long time for a movie to get outdated, to tell you the truth. Probably another decade. That's too soon for me. That's kind of silly.
Yeah, it's been about 7 years, I guess. So.
Yeah, I mean, I know there's been some improvements, I guess, but, I mean, what can you say? The movie didn't do well anyway.
Yeah, I mean...
how can you put something down if it didn't do well anyway? I mean, what else can you say more bad about it? Not really much. I mean, no one's even talking about it anymore. It's kind of like dust now. This another fossil collecting dust.
Yeah, Superman Returns, it's part of history. It's history now.
It's history, but yeah, then no one's really talking about it too much. So to really tell me to compare that movie, which people think I'm a fan of that movie, and I'm not. I think everybody's getting kind of confused about it.
Now, comparing Brandon Routh's suit to Henry Cavill's suit, to what you've seen, because I know you were not a big fan of the Superman Returns suit at all. What do you think now? Are you thinking, hey, maybe the Brandon Routh suit wasn't that bad after all? Because I know you don't like the dark look of the Cavill suit. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, I think Brandon Routh costume probably looked more original, but I'm still not liking the Henry Cavill costume. I don't see why they have to put some new designs in this look. I don't understand. I know they're trying to be more technological with this movie, but I mean, what's this supposed to mean? Is this going to be organic too? Little nanobites going to form this like the New 52? That's what I feel like they're going to do with this. So it looks like a New 52 kind of look going on there. I mean, if they're being technological, so I'm assuming it's not a costume at all. It's just little nano machines. Probably.
Yeah, it looks like they're really getting into alien technology in this film.
I mean, that's nice, but I really this looks more of a distraction, really, more than the Superman Returns costume. I think the only thing that really distracted me with Superman Returns costume is this had that little symbol on his belt, which I thought was unnecessary. On his belt, kind of reminded me of the X-Men and probably his dark look. It's dark. This one's too far off. This is like the Twilight Zone right here. I'm still not liking it. So I think the cape is kind of bad too. It's still dragging on the ground. Not sure what to make of the cape. I don't even know what the cape is supposed to be actually.
And it's just a red cloth too. It just looks like a long piece of red cloth. Kind of Roman, like the early Roman centurions from like Time of Christ or something. So you think of something out of the Twilight Zone. That's an interesting way of describing it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a fan's nightmare, you're saying?
It's still pretty bad. The S-Shield's pretty good. I'll give it credit for the S-Shield, but other than that, the rest of the stuff is just kind of like hurting my eyes.
What do you think of the arms?
I think they're doing too much to him. I don't know. I think it's just a suit. I don't even think that's what he really looks like underneath the suit. I think he's in good shape, but I just think they're putting, I don't know, something weird about it. I guess I'll have to wait till I see the movie. I can't really describe.
Yeah,
that's probably some digital stuff going on there too. It has to be. They're making him look kind of like a mutant or something.
Yeah, that's what I was bringing up earlier. You know, when you watch some of those TV spots, the way that Cavill moves, it's just so smooth and so sleek. It's like a human being doesn't move like that. So I'm thinking, you know, well, what are they doing, something digital with his body, or are they doing that? Which they could. I mean, they have the computer technology, you know, and it kind of makes him look unreal or more alien-like. And maybe that's what they're striving for, to make him appear more alien, but it does seem like they've done a little bit of digital effects on him during the action scenes with his body to make it look more animated or to make him look more alien or super-like. And hey, I mean, if they have the technology, then they're going to use it. But I will have to say one thing about the special effects work in this film, in Man of Steel, it's definitely superior to any Superman film we have seen. Even though it's very violent, the way they use all the special effects, but it's very science fiction-like, which I really like. I mean, because I'm a huge fan of science fiction, and I like robots. I like the whole Isaac Asimov theme and all that. I was concerned about the flying, initially concerned with that, because the flying in Superman Returns looked good, but not as good as this film. You can tell that technology really, really has improved since Superman Returns. I mean, dramatically. The flying just looks, I mean, Cavill is in any which way, any position. He's in an awkward position and he just like bolts out, you know, and just flies right through the sky, and you're just like, whoa. That was just really weird, but cool at the same time, you know, how he flew. So you can make him look more alien-like, and it's got to be special effects on the computers. They're doing something with the digital work on his body to make it, otherwise, because real people don't really move like that. And of course, I mean, Cavill in real life, he's not going to move like that, you know, so they're doing something, and well, I mean, it looks cool. The flying looks fantastic. I can't really judge that. It's superior to anything and everything we've ever seen. And I will say that some of the scenes, I don't know whether intentionally or not, but didn't it kind of remind you of stuff that we've seen from Superman the movie? Yeah. Him flying through the Rocky Canyon, you know, when he was chasing after the XK-101.
Yeah.
You know, so it kind of have glimpses of the flying, and they're like, wait a minute, that looks like Superman the movie. it was cool. I liked watching it. It just looked really, really good. And I was kind of apprehensive about him flying over the world again like Christopher Reeve because, I mean, every time they try to do it like Reeve, it's just so bad. I mean, only Reeve can fly over the world and then look at the camera and smile and wink, because, I mean, he does it well. He does the smile perfectly, and it's just, okay, nobody does it better than Reeve. I mean, you didn't see him smile or anything like that or wink at the camera, but he did the over the world flying thing, and of course we know where they got it from, we know where they took it from, but it looked really, really good. I mean, I was like, wow, well, they didn't copy it, but they brought it back in a new and different way. So yeah, that was cool.
Better than the Brandon Routh one. He didn't even smile on that one.
Yeah.
He just had a plain looking face.
Yeah, so I'm glad that they didn't show Henry Cavill's face. They did not try to mimic that, which would have been really, really bad. It probably would have made people crack up and laugh. Just leave that to Christopher Reeve. He did it best with the winking at the camera, the wave, or whatever. So with Henry Cavill, just, so I liked how they did it. And I'm with Ralph, what they tried to do, of course, it failed. They were trying to shoot it as if it was a Christopher Reeve movie. So now comparing again Brandon Routh to Henry Cavill, personality-wise, what do you think? Do you think now that Brandon Routh kind of more realistic to Superman than Cavill?
Brandon Routh didn't really have his own kind of role. I mean, he didn't really have his own part. I think he was mimicking Christopher Reeve most of the time.
He was trying to be too much like Christopher Reeve?
Yeah, I think that's what kind of hurt him.
Yeah. It seemed like he couldn't really bring his own into it. Back then, when they shot it, Reeve had just recently passed away, so everybody's, crying, of course, So let's pay tribute to Christopher Reeve, and so I kind of agree with that. Brandon Routh had to stand up to Christopher Reeve's image, basically. So, but yeah, I agree with what you said, Kyle, that Cavill has the opportunity to do his own Superman, which Brandon Routh didn't have. So he can do his own Superman and portray him the way he wants to portray him with, the direction of Zack Snyder and with the writing and the story and all that, which is it's going to work to his benefit. What did you think of the Wolverine knives? That one in that one TV spot?
I don't know if that's Zod or what, but that's there was really no need for it.
It looked like a Wolverine knife. We saw this fist come down and this knife came popping out, and immediately I thought of Wolverine. And any comic book fan seeing that is going to be like, is that what I just thought it was? Is that Wolverine?
I mean, you see movies, you see maybe a monster or something come out of his hand, a claw or whatever it is. I think it's just no need for it, really. I mean, it's Zod. What's he need weapons for? Isn't he powerful? Like Superman?
That's a good point. I mean, if you have superpowers, why do you need a Wolverine knife? I mean, maybe to make you more scarier, but Kryptonians, they don't really need weapons. You just fight with their bodies. But then again, Zod had a bodysuit. He has this power suit or whatnot.
Yeah, that does kind of remind me of Superboy Prime a little bit. So maybe it stores his yellow sun energy.
That could be a good point.
Maybe makes him stronger. I'm thinking that's where they got that idea from.
That's a really good point. Superboy Prime did have that kind of suit, so
and he did have glowing eyes too as well. His heat vision was extreme.
Right,
when he was really angry, so I'm thinking maybe that's where they're doing Zod.
So they could be grabbing some mythology from Superboy Prime, which is good because he's a really cool character. So there's going to be no lack of action in this movie. It's not going to be a slow film, so we know that.
Like the last one.
Yeah, and that's what gets me with the music. I mean, you listen to the music and I'm dozing off and I could meditate to it. 17 minutes later come out, feeling refreshed or something.
I could probably block off the music, but it just won't match.
Yeah. I mean,
just
I wanted
ignore
to
it and just, watch the movie.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to hear something that revved it up a little, I wanted to hear some action themes going on. And it was kind of interesting because when I went down the list of the names of the tracks, there was one of them called DNA. And I'm like, DNA? So there's a music track in the Man of Steel movie called DNA. I wonder if perhaps maybe Zod is a clone or something. Because we know that, and this is a spoiler too, well, it might be a spoiler, but not really. There was some issue on whether or not the planet Krypton blew up. According to the junior novel and the Kitty books, Krypton does blow up. But if Krypton blew up, would Zod really be alive? Because so far there's no indication that the Phantom Zone is at all in this movie.
Doesn't look like it is, no. Just him on a spaceship with two other Kryptonians.
Yeah, with Feora
and some made up
Ek.
And some made up other guy. I think the original guy was Quickcell or something in the comic books. Quickcell.
Yeah, yeah.
Quakesell, whatever how you pronounce his name. So I guess they just made up their own character.
Yeah. So I don't know if he's going to be like the
I don't even
substitute
know
or something.
what he is. Just some character they made up. I guess maybe the name sounded kind of retarded. Maybe, yeah, I guess it does. I don't know. I guess it doesn't really matter.
Does it feel like Superman 2 to you? Because I know that was your biggest gripe.
Probably Superman 2 and a mix of Matrix. I still got to put the Matrix in it. I see a lot of Matrix in it.
It has a lot of the technology.
I mean, I saw Neo flying in the movies. He flew like Superman as well. They didn't even make any Superman movies anymore yet, but that kind of told you right there. I mean,
he kind of flies like Neo. You're right. I mean, there was kind of through the clouds
there was
and
no
stuff.
newer Superman movies yet by 2003.
You never know. Maybe at the end of Man of Steel, we'll find out that he's really on Krypton, and all the Kryptonians are in a little bubble filled with organic mush, and they're all really on Krypton. They're not on Earth.
I mean, Zod's a powerful guy, but I don't think technology is really his kind of thing. That's more of a Brainiac issue there. I think he's a smart guy, Zod, but he just has an army. He doesn't have all this little spider bots and all that. That's more like Brainiac. And his armor suit, like I said, I just didn't expect this kind of Zod.
Yeah, he's pretty different.
I don't even want Zod in the movie. I never wanted him in the movie. I was kind of bored of Zod, actually. Kind of bored of it, Zod.
You're bored of it?
Yeah, he's been done already 20,000 times, running down to the ground now.
He's been done quite a lot, and yeah, I think a lot of other fans have brought that up. Why are we watching Zod go up against Superman over and over?
I mean, I know Zack Snyder said he's a lot of part of Superman's history and all that, but I don't know. I just think they need to go another different direction. I think they're just admiring a lot about Superman too. I mean, what's the point?
What's the point? Yeah. And also, I bought 2 kitty books: Superman Saves Smallville and The Fate of Krypton. I didn't buy the junior novel or anything else because I didn't want to spoil any further than I've already have. But in Superman Saves Smallville, and everyone is referencing to these little kitty books because that's clues. I mean, it's inspired by the movie or based on the feature film. That's what it says on the front of it. This is going to be kind of the backbone of the Man of Steel movie. But it looks like a great portion of the battle between Zod and Superman takes place in Smallville. It's like Superman 2, but they're grabbing some from Smallville and putting stuff in Smallville. So now I'm beginning to wonder if they're inspired by the TV series as well as the Donner film or the Lester film. I mean, depending on what version you watch.
There's really if there really is a rumor about Christopher Reeve CGI, like I said, I don't think there's really much of a point. It's good to pay respect to him, but I really think if they're really trying to be different, why not just try to be different? Why they're still bringing stuff from Smallville and Donner? I mean, there's really no need for it.
Yeah, to just
have someone else dress up like Clark Kent. They don't have to put digital. I mean, it just doesn't look good. I think they've done that in some movies. They've tried digital people who the actor wasn't in a movie or something, and it just looks kind of tacky.
Yeah,
I mean, I know Chris Reeve's not around anymore, but I really don't think there's really a point for the Easter egg right there. I think they just did that. They thought it was cool, I guess. And of course, paying respect to him as well. But I really think there's really need of it.
Yeah, and at this point, of course, too, when we're mentioning, spoilers or Easter eggs, we're saying this from rumors because we really don't know if there's going to be a digital. Our sources have been saying there's not, but we haven't seen the movie yet. So, and at this recording, it's 25 days until June 14th. So what do you think about there being no kryptonite in this film? I know I discussed it with you earlier, and I went on Steve Eunice's radio show, and I brought it up with him and Michael Bailey. But, so what do you think about there being no kryptonite? Does Superman have a weakness? Does he need one? Or does he not have a weakness? So you can't kill him. Without any kryptonite, there's no way to kill him. Unless you take the sun away or something. Or throw him into another universe.
They don't have to always reintroduce it into the movie, but just to think of it not being part of the universe really breaks my heart. Because it's really part of his planet, so... And
we do know that Krypton does explode.
It has more history to it, too. I mean, he could learn so much from it. But, yeah, I mean, that's part of his weakness. I think that's the main #1 weakness. I think everybody knows that. And you got supernatural, like spirits or others, magic, that can hurt him. I think that's #2. I don't know.
Yeah.
How they rank that one. I guess #3 would be his heart. But I guess we're saying most of his heart's #1. But, I don't know. I guess it just depends.
That his heart, that you could really, really play games to his heart.
I think that happens in any kind of movie, really. Anybody's heart. I mean, all these other superhero movies, I think,
To get to their heart.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's nothing really.
But it won't kill him. Getting to his heart still won't kill him.
It won't
he'd have
kill
to
him.
kill himself.
Yeah, but, I don't think it's really anything different.
If you kill Lois, it'd get to his heart.
I think Superman 2 had a lot of that, and mostly about his heart. Like Zod said, he really cared about these Earth people. And so, so that had a lot about his heart, and I hate to bring it up, but I guess that's a good example, because it didn't have any kryptonite in that movie, so...
You're right, there was none in Superman 2.
Only in the first one and the third one.
And he could have died in Superman 2 easily. Because of his love for Lois, he just walked into that crystal chamber and zapped himself and took the powers away, and then boom, came out human. So, Lois could have killed him. If she wanted
guess there's
to.
going to be a lot of arguments about it, but kryptonite's still number one on the list. That's kind of what makes him kind of unique, so...
Right.
You don't really need to put it in the movie, but just to think it's not part of his history is kind of... they're still using it in the comic books, so, I don't really know how it's going to change 20 years later. Maybe it might not be his weakness in the comic books later, but for now, it's just the way it is.
And of course, now we're saying this without seeing part 2 of Man of Steel, because we don't know if they're going to introduce kryptonite.
We really don't
later.
know. Yeah,
we're just going by the first film, yeah. And but we do know that without kryptonite, there's no Metallo. There can't be.
No.
Unless he has a different power source, but what's the point of Metallo without kryptonite?
Yeah.
So you might as well just throw him out, you know, but it's...
And when they're introducing Lex Luthor, that's the same, really. He likes kryptonite, and he always keeps it by his side. It doesn't have to have it on him 24/7, but know that he knows that's his weakness, kryptonite. It's the point even adding Lex Luthor into it, because that's kind of like his... It's like a hobby. Kryptonite is like his little collection.
And he had the kryptonite ring often in Superman lore. And I think that's right. Lex Luthor really knew how to use kryptonite to his advantage.
Without kryptonite for Lex, that's his weakness. He needs kryptonite. Lex Luthor knows his weakness. And I know Lex Luthor's a smart guy. He probably used other stuff. He just knows about Superman's weakness. I think that's what makes Lex Luthor a very strong character. He has no powers, but that's what makes him smart.
Right.
I think that's what... He's got technology. If they're going to do something with Lex Luthor, they need to do something different, because I've already seen like the Lex Core there and all that. I want to see something different, but I don't know.
And we do know that the Lex Core is in this film, at least as an Easter egg, because we see a quick glimpse of it. So we don't know if it's going to be used in the story. He might just kind of foreshadow it at this point and then bring it into part 2 or whatever. That's what I'm thinking. And there's a rumor that Mackenzie Gray is going to be featured in the film somehow, and he played the clone Lex in Smallville, the older Lex.
I think he was okay. I don't even know much about his background, really. He did an okay job. It was cool seeing a clone Lex Luthor, but just for him to play Lex Luthor, I think he could do something different.
Of course, if they're going to bring in Lex Luthor, they're going to have to bring in a big, huge star, you know. But that's kind of a cool thing. If they're just foreshadowing or something, it might be kind of cool to bring him in it. I don't know what they're doing. Maybe they're going to show like a shadow or a photo or him walking by or something, you know, or he's got the shaved head, so you can use him. So what do you think about the Fortress of Solitude?
I'm not loving it too much. It doesn't have to be like the Donner movies, but I expected something more technological. They're going to be using technology. I think caves are just like the Bat cave. Superman doesn't really have a cave. If you look at the older comic books, he's had some kind of fortress underground. He's used a key to open it up. I haven't seen much of it since I have to watch the movie, but this having in a cave or, I don't know, or spaceship being the Fortress of Solitude might have been a better idea.
So you think it's kind of too much like Batman? The fortress is being kind of like a
cave
snow cave?
Is like, or make it look invisible or something, because it's just sitting out there. Someone's going to discover it. Just make something different. It doesn't seem like anything different. It looks okay.
It looks interesting. Maybe it's just in its raw form, and Superman has to build it or put it together or something, which would be interesting. So since in part 1 of Superman the movie, it's like the crystal did it for him, it was like, da-dun, just throw it in the snow and presto, so...
The Crystal one's still my favorite. I hate the match movies, but the Crystal one's more technological, I think, more than this one.
Yeah, I totally agree.
I have to watch this one to find out, but I can't beat the Crystal one, so it's... And they even use it in the new video game, too. It's still in the Injustice game.
Yeah, Injustice, right.
As a arena. So, like I said, you just can't beat the original, but I want them to be different. I want them to do the same thing. The cave is okay. I don't know.
I think that's what I really liked about Superman the movie, the whole Krypton thing, was that it didn't really particularly look like it could be more advanced than us, other than the fact that they had a kind of technology that was really, really really not like anything we'd ever seen. It was crystal technology. We truly didn't understand how that crystal built the Fortress of Solitude other than it did it, you know, and that in itself is amazing, you know, because a little crystal can make something that big. So that's how we can tell how technologically advanced it is and how more powerful it is than we are, because they have this technology that's completely alien. And that to me was far more alien, I agree, Kyle, than this cave. But we know that Nolan, you know, in the past with Batman, he's gone with the whole military theme, and you know, and he's doing it with this one too. He's going more military and war machine. You know, it's the same thing he did with the Batman, you know, with the Batmobile. It was a tank. That's what it was. It wasn't really a Batmobile. It was just a military tank that Batman painted black. That's all it was. And he used, you know, military gadgets for his bat suit. And so it kind of feels the same in Man of Steel, how it's kind of more military. Everything's all military because that's Nolan. He wants everything to be military and to the scrutiny of the audiences. I mean, it doesn't always have to be realistic like that. And I think that's where Superman the movie is really original, is that the crystal technology, it's fantasy. We don't understand it because it's alien. It's alien technology. We don't know how this crystal is making this fortress, but it's fantasy. And so I think the Reeve movies, or at least the first one, or the Krypton, I guess, had a little more fantasy in it than this one appears to have. So, which is not bad. I mean, you can use fantasy in Superman. He's not a real character. You don't always have to make it war machines, you know, like it's Iron Man or something. And another one, because I was reading, you know, the little kiddie book, Superman Saves Smallville, based on the feature film. And when you open it up, or no, I'm sorry, that was in the other book, The Fate of Krypton. When you open it up, Jor-El rides a beast called Haraka. And on the page before that, it said, Krypton is technologically advanced. Civilization that's technologically advanced. And I'm like, then why is he riding this thing? You know, it's like, why isn't he in some speeder or something?
Little pet dog.
I'm like, it's so technologically advanced, you know, this is a little weird.
Why don't I have a toy of that? I'll buy Haraka, the action figure.
But it appeared in a different comic book series somewhere, so they're just kind of bringing it back. So I don't know if we're going to actually see it in the movie, but I guess it's like Star Wars, you know, they kind of mix in technology with beasts or dinosaurs or whatever. So, you know, it's got a little bit of the alien in it too. It's an alien planet, so whatever. One thing we don't know yet is, does Superman have a secret identity? Is there a Clark Kent? Because there's no indication. I haven't seen Clark Kent at all in this film.
I really don't know.
So we have no idea. And if I read the kitty books too, and if you don't want to hear this is a spoiler, but according to the little kitty books, I didn't see Clark Kent with glasses at all. We saw Clark as a boy, we saw him with his parents, we saw him grow up, then Superman emerged, he fights Zod, and he meets Lois, and then that's the end of it. Superman wins. There's no Clark Kent Daily Planet character at all in the movie, I mean, from what I've read so far. Maybe they'll have him appear at the end of the movie. Maybe it'd be like, well, I've decided to have a secret identity, and he'll put on the Clark Kent glasses and be like, hey, it's Clark Kent. You know, that could be possible.
Kind of like Earth 1 was like that too. He wasn't even Clark Kent till like right in the last probably 10 pages of the graphic novel.
Right, the Michael Straczynski.
I don't know if there was another one like that. I don't know if there's other graphic novelists that were, which I don't know. But I know Earth 1 had that, right. Definitely. So.
Right. I know with the marketing, I've been keeping up with the marketing, because everyone's like trying to find hint. It's like you just can't wait. There's 25 days left. People want to know the plots before they
don't
even
kill
watch
each
the movie.
other over it. No stampedes or anybody ran over.
That's why I didn't go to Walmart to get the tickets, because after going to Walmart once on Black Friday, I was like, you know what? For any special event, you're not going to catch me through those doors of Walmart. And people have died. I mean, it was on the news. People have died from going to Walmart during these events, these special events. So I'm just like, you know what? I ain't going to Walmart. It's probably died down now, so I don't know. Maybe I'll go see if any of those pre-tickets are left. But I'm not going to throw somebody aside just to get the Man of Steel ticket. Some of these people treat you at Walmart, you know, like you're not even a human being. They just want to buy it. They don't care if it's $10 item or whatever. Warby Parker Eyewear. They're selling 2 styles of Clark Kent glasses inspired by Man of Steel. If we go by that, then at some point Clark Kent wears the glasses. Or at some point we see Henry Cavill dressed up as Clark Kent. But so far we have not seen anything, the trailers or anything like that. So no Daily Planet scenes, and we just have seen in that one trailer Lois talking to Superman where she meets him inside of a jail cell. What did you think of that, Kyle? Do you think it's a good place for Lois to fall in love with Superman?
Let's get jiggy with it, I guess. You know, have Batman and Joker in there too, and play some cards. No, not really any purpose to it.
It really did feel like The Dark Knight. That jail scene, it really did feel like that. And I know people have manipulated the pictures on Facebook and put the Joker and Batman in the background. And I don't know what to think about that scene. If that's where their love blossoms in this Nolan film, then I guess that's where it blossoms.
Kissy kissy.
What do you think about the digital posters? Going back to the marketing again. All these digital posters they've been releasing online.
All bad. Didn't like every single one.
Some of them are okay, but most of them have been... I mean, what's with the lens flare effect?
I like how some of them he just doesn't look like he's looking down. He's floating, and I'm trying to figure out what's he doing. Is he like looking to see? Did you see like footprints on the snow? Maybe floating around. Just the cape. They're showing too much of his cape. I don't know. There's one where this cape looks like it's the whole digital poster, I guess. It looks like Jimmy Olsen might have tried to take a picture of him and he was too fast and it didn't come out it just came out blurry. So I hate to throw that in there, but that's what I felt like.
Yeah,
that's bad enough when they don't have Jimmy Olsen in it. That's bad enough.
It's going to be a woman.
But I guess so.
Jenny Olsen. Yeah, I mean, the digital posters, I think they just threw them out to kind of appease the fans, and be like, hey, look, it's something new, But the whole lens flare thing, it's just really horrible. I mean, I use Photoshop a lot. I do a lot of multimedia. It's just, I mean, I was just like, that's really bad. The lens flare totally overused. So I don't know if they're going to use the lens flare like that in the movie. Hopefully not. I think it's just on the posters. But the digital posters have been really bad. There's a couple posters that I really liked. But the posters so far have not been really dramatic. It's nothing like you would see on a classic film.
I would say this though, the Superman Returns posters were pretty unique. I don't know how many posters they made for that movie. I guess I would have to go back and search them, but there was a few of them I really liked.
I agree. I think the Superman Returns posters, I think they put a lot of thought into it. They really did a lot of
I don't think there was any Flins optic.
No, there was no Photoshop manipulation at all.
Because I know they put a lot of money into that movie.
Yeah,
I don't know how much they put into it, but really spent a lot of money on it.
Yeah, it's hard to determine exactly what the budget was on that film because some people say, well, it included the 50 million, all the pre-development from Superman Lives or The Death of Superman or whatever. So the budget on Superman Returns is kind of, whacked a little. It was a lot of money, and that's another reason that Warner Brothers didn't want to make another one too.
And that's funny. I'm not a fan of the movie, but I like the posters. I thought they were kind of interesting to look at.
Yeah. Posters good for Superman Returns. I do agree with that, Kyle. Another thing watching this film, I mean, everything just seems, the Man of Steel trailers and the TV spots and all that, everything seems to move so fast. Because sometimes in Superman Returns, I'm not like a huge fan of Superman Returns, but sometimes the flying was very elegant. The way that they did it, it was very they took their time with it. Hopefully they'll have those moments where they'll just take their time with things, and work on the character. And we saw that moment with Lois and Superman, but it looked like they were with all these tanks or something, or surrounded by soldiers, so I don't know what the deal is with that. But I would say that all in all, my impressions of Man of Steel have changed since I've seen all the TV spot, and I love the Norton antivirus spots. The viral marketing on this film has really been impressive. Because I know a few months back when we did episode 1, there wasn't too much marketing. We just had like a trailer, some photos, a few sparse interviews or whatever. So we were more in the dark. The viral marketing is very interesting because this is new to the movie business and they're doing it, most of it all on the internet. If you go to norton.com/Superman, you can see a bunch of trailers, just sponsored by Norton Antivirus. So that's pretty cool. And they've had, the billboards with the Zod thing. And I don't know if they're going to use it in the movie, with the General Zod, which he looked like a Darth Vader or something. He's like, if you don't return Kal-El to me by da-da-da-da. So I don't know if that was just viral marketing or not. I thought it was kind of an interesting idea.
That's so Nolan with the whole face mask thing. I've seen that a lot in Batman movies with the Bane thing too. It's just ridiculous. They're going to reintroduce Bane, just don't put a mask on him. It's like a breathing oxygen tank. I didn't quite understand that. Zod doesn't need a helmet or whatever it is.
So what do you think about the toys that are out now, like the action figures? Carl's Jr.'s come out with a few things. You can buy a few little action figures and some cards and some little kid stuff. I went and I paid like 99 cents for the action figure, and I have it right here actually. You can't see it on the podcast, but I showed it to Kyle, and Kyle was looking at it going, okay.
Kind of just look at it and you're kind of like, wow, this is Superman, really? And you could tell his cape, he can't ever stand up all right. He can't stand up good because his cape's longer, so it's blocking his stance.
Yeah, you're right. With the toy, it's really really hard for him to stand up. I mean, you almost have to like
it's almost
push
like
the cape
in real
up
life.
a little bit.
It's almost like in real life. How can he walk with that cape? He'll trip and fall and hit his head. Ouch.
And the toy doesn't have the curl either, so it just looks kind of weird. It looks like an Earth 2 Superman or something.
When I look at Superman, I'm like, wow, this ain't Superman.
And you know what's funny? When I showed my dad that action figure, I go, hey Dad, look. I felt like a little kid again. I'm like, look what I bought from Carl's Jr., you know, a 99-cent Superman toy. And he's looking at it and he's thinking. He's holding the action figure, and of course, you know, he's George Reeves. He grew up with George Reeves, you know. So he's looking at this action figure and turning it around in his hands and not saying anything. And I'm like, so what do you think? And he goes, what is this? And I'm like, it's Superman. And he's wearing the costume, and he goes, that's Superman? And I go, yeah. And he just hands it back to me, and I was like, whoa.
I think this movie is going to make people question a lot. It's going to have a lot of question marks. Riddle me this, riddle me that. Like, you know, I have to throw a little Riddler in there, but it's just a lot of questions. So I think they intentionally did this on purpose.
Yeah, and, you know, I think Nolan could be building up to the Justice League movie, because there's been some announcements out there. Whether rumor or not, the new Justice League movie will have Henry Cavill in it.
If I don't like this movie, I don't know how I'm going to like Justice League movie. I might like even better than Man of Steel. Who knows? I think I'm looking forward to Justice League movie.
Yeah, that's going to be a
really
major
cool.
event. That's going to be a major event.
Yeah, the Avengers.
It's never been done before, so it'd be the first time.
I mean, Marvel had this thing with Avengers. It really sucked. I'm really surprised it did well in the box office, but I think they could pull it really well with Justice League.
If they make it like Injustice, the Justice League movie, I mean, really, really badass like that. You know, I hate to use the word badass, but that game is like that. When you see Injustice, you're just like, whoa. You know, I mean, if the movie was like that, you know, I mean, talk about dark. That's really dark. But I think the Justice League movie really has a lot of potential. So if all the rumors are correct,
they'll have to like recast the people who are going to play heroes. Let's keep Henry Cavill as Superman. It looks like he'd be a good Superman.
No Christian Bale as Batman?
Yeah, I didn't like Christian Bale too much as Batman. He was okay as Batman. And you'll have to recast Green Lantern, of course, because that actor's kind of a goofball anyway. So you'll have to recast almost everybody except for Henry Cavill.
Yeah, I think the cast is going to be a strong point on Justice League.
It'd be difficult, well, not for Superman, but for the other characters.
And of course, we know now DC is competing with Marvel, because Marvel's just shelling out these movies. And they did an Avengers movie and brought all the cast members from the single movies into the Avenger movies. So Marvel's not afraid. They just go out there and they do it, you know.
Yeah, they do it.
And DC is kind of like, well, we don't know if we want to or not, and may not make money or not. We're not sure.
They're pretty smart, because, you know, they've had several bad movies. You know, Superman Returns and Green Lantern didn't really reach the expectations, so they're really just taking their time.
Yeah. So, but I think with Superman and Batman in it, that would be their strong point. Even if they do have Green Lantern and Flash or whoever in it, just the fact that Superman and Batman's in it, that's going to be the major selling point. Get the DC guys on it, the Injustice team or whatever. I think it has a lot of potential. You know, throw Wonder Woman in it. And
oh yeah, I think I would like to see it. Oh, that'd be her first big screen appearance. Actually,
yeah,
she's never been in a big budget movie other than a TV show. But
right,
that'd be great. That might help for a Wonder Woman movie. So other movies as well, if we haven't seen. So
I totally agree.
So that'd be great. So I think I'm looking forward to that movie now. I can't wait till that comes out. Maybe 2 years from now, I guess.
Yeah. If they really pull off that Justice League movie,
I guess
that's going to be the one that will get me at Walmart.
I guess this movie really depends if it does really well. So there'll be spin-offs. There'll be a Superboy movie and Justice League. So I guess everything is in Man of Steel's hands.
Right.
Every DC character. Wow.
That's a lot to stand up to. If Man of Steel doesn't do well, then how are you going to justify a Justice League movie?
Yeah, it won't work. Yeah.
You're right. That's an excellent point. Even at that, a Superboy movie, because you know now they got the full rights to Superboy. Yeah. So Warner Brothers can do a Superboy movie, a Con-El or an early Clark, something like, you know, Superboy the TV series if they wanted to, which they probably wouldn't do. Probably Con-El or something.
Yeah, the probably reason why it would be Con-El, because in this Man of Steel he never became Superboy. So how are you going to make something about young Superman? I mean, I think they already throw that a lot in this movie.
Yeah. So it wouldn't make sense to just kind of change the whole mythology when they're going to do a Justice League and put Cavill in there anyway.
I think there's been a lot of people who are like, I don't want to see that, or, you know, different opinions. I think that's pretty cool he became Superboy, actually, but it's too bad they took that idea out a long time ago. During Infinity Crisis, it's kind of sad they took that out, but I guess they thought it was kind of childish back then.
Yeah, and I think the Christopher Reeve movie really influenced everybody, you know. They were like, well, you know, there's really not a Superboy in the Christopher Reeve film, and that's really highly successful.
So that was ahead of its time time right there. That was ahead of its time because in the comic books it wasn't like that yet. It was just the Christopher Reeve movies. I thought about that too, so that was really ahead of its time, really.
I totally agree.
I mean, it probably wouldn't make any sense back then, but it would have been a great idea, probably. It's sad they took that part out of his history. You got the clone version. I guess that kind of makes up for it, but he's a different kind of character, though, than Superman being young. He's just a whole different story.
And of course, Con-El, the clone Superboy, even if he's not called Con-El anymore, just Superboy, the clone version, that's what a lot of people have grown up with. Because
now I have, yeah.
Since the death of Superman, I mean, that's almost, no, I think it actually has been about 20 years now.
Yeah, since 93.
Yeah, since Con-El has been around, so that's Superboy. I mean, a lot of people know no other Superboy, so it would be totally would make sense to bring Con-El into the picture.
Yeah, I mean, they brought him in Smallville. I guess it was Lex Luthor, but it was still part Kal-El's DNA as well, so he was kind of a mix right there. So I guess that's the turning point for Superboy movie, I guess. Smallville kind of helped out on that one.
And there's a lot for them to reference back to now. They can go to Smallville, they can go to the comic books. I mean, there's so many things that they can grab from. We'd hope it all be original, but I mean, they got Superboy Prime. There's so much history now with Superboy as a single character rather than as connected to Superman as being the same person. With that, we're glad that you joined us for episode 2 of KRYPTON Chronicles. If you are going to see Superman earlier, you can grab tickets at Walmart. They may still have some on sale. I don't think they're all sold out. Also, the LA Film Festival, if you're a pass holder to the LA Film Festival, for those who live in California, you could get into an early showing on June 12th to see the film 2 days earlier. Other than that, we got 25 days left to this recording until the movie comes out, and I'm looking forward to seeing it. I know Kyle's looking forward to seeing it. I think I'm going to see it for the first time, perhaps in 3D, not sure, but I know that I will see the film in 3D and I want to see it in IMAX. So I'll probably see it at least 3 times, unless I really, really hate it. So I can't imagine really, really hating because I've seen a lot of cool stuff so far. Thank you for listening, and it's coming around the corner. It's really exciting. A whole new Superman movie. It's been, since Superman Returns, it's almost been a decade. Enjoy the film, and thanks for listening to the podcast. From KRYPTON Chronicles, thank you.
Thanks for listening.
KRYPTON Chronicles. The Superman, Superboy, DC Universe Internet Radio Show.